On December 3rd, the 44th Los Angeles District Attorney was sworn into office. Well, it's only been a few days at the time of this taping, but let's get to know him a little bit better. I'm delighted to be joined today by Nathan Hochman. So nice to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Well, lots and lots and lots of questions, but here's a really ridiculous one to get the whole thing started. You were sworn in by former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. Are you guys friends? I mean, how did all that happen? Or was that just something, there's a protocol that I'm completely unaware of that somehow went into play?
No, Governor Schwarzenegger and I have talked and sort of worked together for years now. And when it came time to figure out who would be someone I would be incredibly happy to swear me in, I was looking for someone who's just been a leader, a common sense leader out there in the world. And you know, Governor Schwarzenegger came first on my list. I asked him, and he was nice enough to say yes, and I was incredibly honored to have him swear me in.
You know, you've definitely run an incredibly successful campaign, won 60% plus of the votes. But the whole idea of, it's not as if you were not busy to begin with. It's not as if you didn't have a full-time everything. Why did you think that this was the direction that you needed to take? Why is it that you wanted to step up into this particular position at this particular time?
You know, I'm a lifelong Angelino. I was born here at UCLA Hospital, grew up here. I've been married now 31 years here in Los Angeles, and I've raised my 3 kids here who are now in their 20s. And I saw the situation of our safety, and I wasn't going to move. I've had plenty of friends that looked at fear entering the equation of their life, and they decided to vote with their feet, and they picked up and moved. You know, I love Los Angeles County, and I was going to fight for what I love. And I have a fairly unique skill set that I've developed over the last 34 years in the criminal justice area. I've been a federal prosecutor, been a U.S. Assistant Attorney General, been the president of the LA City Ethics Commission, and I've been a defense attorney. And I thought I could bring that skill set to bear, plus the fact I had run for a statewide office before and understood how to campaign, and sort of marry these skill sets of being a lawyer in the courtroom, but as a prosecutor and a defense attorney, being the head of some major organizations, whether it was the tax division, the U.S. Department of Justice, or 2 major international law firms, government investigations practice, and then understanding actually how to campaign, how to build a campaign, build a team, fundraise, get out in the media, get out in the community, set up a grassroots operation, and then win an election. Thankfully, it worked out.
Anyone who's in political office, whether they be the spouse of or the actual person, is going to have a lot of eyes looking on them. That's kind of an intimidating thing, I would think.
If the spotlight comes with the office, and the office, it gives me the opportunity to really leverage my skill set and hopefully restore safety in this community, working with as opposed to against the 750 deputy district attorneys who are in the courtrooms every day, working with as opposed to against the tens of thousands of law enforcement officers who wanted a DA who just wants to do his job and let them do their job. You know, if it's working with as opposed to against victim groups, victims' rights groups, they've been abandoned over the last 4 years. I've told these groups that, look, I'll resume the role that the DA's office has always been, which is their champion. I said, this is why, if the spotlight comes with that, so be it. But if I can actually accomplish the roles that a DA needs to be with the prosecutors, with the law enforcement, with victims' families, with the public, and I want to create a community that is better than the community that I had the opportunity to live in.
The level of crime in which someone can be arrested, you're talking about just safety and making sure that somebody is responsible for their actions. So how is that going to change? Because that's obviously been something where some crimes, including theft, shoplifting, it's not even worth calling it in because nobody's going to do anything about it.
So the days where police officers will tell victims that our hands are tied by the DA's office are done.
Okay.
Each case will be looked at in terms of, is the evidence there? I mean, we have to prove that evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. Is the evidence legally admissible? Did the police obtain the evidence correctly? And each of those cases presented to the DA's office will now be given a fair shot. Recently on social media, you might have seen it, where 50 12 to 15-year-olds biked to a 7-Eleven, dropped their bikes in front of it, ran inside, ransacked the place, got back on their bikes, stuffed their pants with stolen goods, and biked away. Ultimately, those kids thought that it wasn't against the law. And they were, for the most part, absolutely right. DA had a policy saying if you're a juvenile under 18 and you steal just under $950, which is a misdemeanor, the DA had an actual policy saying that the DA's office would not prosecute that case at all. And you know who was paying attention to that policy? Those kids. Even if they didn't physically read the policy, they knew the policy existed. That policy has been rescinded on my day one.
The DA's office, correct me if I'm wrong, on average has 180,000 cases. And you've also said that you want to make sure that every case is looked at. How is your staff feeling about that? How are your assistant DAs feeling about that? How is that going to be managed just in terms of logistics? That's a pretty impressive caseload for any country, let alone the County of Los Angeles.
You're right. I mean, the County of Los Angeles, if it was a state in the United States, it would be the 8th largest state.
Yeah.
My budget will be somewhere around $500 million. And I've got 2,100 employees, about 750 of them are prosecutors, and we're hiring right now. So if anyone out there who's watching this, please get ready to sign up for and apply to the LA County DA's office. But how are we going to go about this? I am lucky to be inheriting some of the best, most talented, diverse lawyers in the country. For the last 4 years, however, these folks have been on the front line of trying to bring the mission of justice in these courtrooms and not having the DA have their back. I basically said, when I started meeting with them back in March and got the endorsement of their union, I said, I know, endorsements are nice, I need to meet with these folks. I've met with over 500 of them. And I basically said to them two things. I said, the greatest resource of a DA's office is not the courtrooms, the cases, or the computers, it's the deputy district attorneys themselves, doing justice in all these courtrooms across the county every single day. And so what is my role as a district attorney? My role is to maximize the greatest resource, which is them. So I told them, you need training, done. Resources, done. Credit for the good work that you're doing. I will give credit where credit is due. I said, you need to work hard. You attain that success, you get the credit. And I said, and the reason I say that to them is there's thinking behind it. I need them to work incredibly hard. We're dealing with a big hole. We're down 20% of our workforce, over 200 lawyers. We have 10,000 unfiled cases that I have to inherit and will deal with immediately. I need these folks to work harder than they've ever worked. And they have said to me, hallelujah. We are so fired up to do the mission of justice. I mean, these are people who've dedicated their whole career to being prosecutors. They wanted a DA to let them do their job, to apply their collective thousands of years of prosecutorial experience to figure out the right result in each and every case. And I've said, look, that's me. I will have your back. Go do your job.
Welcome to the DA's office. I mean, now that we've been sitting here, it's just been a few days. I really look forward to chatting with you in a few months to see how things are progressing, because you have done everything you promised on day one. So congratulations on that. And welcome to your new responsibility that you obviously are relishing. And it's been great to get to know you. And if people want to see what the DA's office is doing and they want to learn, what you've enacted or taken away or put in place, or even to apply for a job, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
So the website is an excellent portal to start. It's da.lacounty.gov. Other places you can hit us on Instagram, all the different social media outlets as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And that's a wrap on this LA Currents.